Did I ever tell you guys I was in a biker gang once?
What was that?
Is that real?
It's real. A bike gang. Back when I was in 7th grade. me and the neighborhood kids, all 4 of us, we had these shirts with little skulls with fire on them. We called ourselves Fear No Evil. And our big thing was we would ride our bikes down to the Harley Davidson shop and buy a mellow yellow.
Dang it. That's hilarious.
Fear no evil, baby.
Was this in the dangerous town of Salina, Kansas?
North Salina. Born and bred.
Dang it. That one made me tear up. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to episode 10 of the Players Meeting, a Win Dummies production. I'm your host, Lucas Deal, here with the one-time world champ, Chris Smith, aka Smitty, and the Step Pup Master, Mr. Ronnie Unruh.
Yo, yo, yo.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you so much for listening and or watching us. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search the words Win Dummies. You can also find us on YouTube by searching Disc and Deals coverage. Hit that subscribe button to not miss any of the action. We've got a great show for you tonight. We're going to talk all things Music City Open, all the big storylines, which does include a stoppage of play due to a mass shooting threat, and a recap of this weekend's action. The boys will share their top 5 disappointments so far this year on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. We'll check out picks for the Music City Open and make our picks for the first major of the year, Champions Cup. Don't miss the update on the Survivor League. It all happens on this episode of the Players Meeting. But first, we're going to start where we always start. What's poppin'? What's been happening around the world of disc golf? All right, let's jump right on in to a quick recap of Music City Open. Round 1, Olin Hanley shoots 7 down, 10-31 to open. Silva Saarinen right there, just 3 shots back. Kristen Tatar and Haley King 4 off the lead. On the men's side, Simon starts with a bang, 12 down, 1076 rated round. Jakob Cimarron makes another leaderboard appearance, just 2 back. And what do you know? Our first McBeast sighting of the year takes place with Paul in 3rd, just 3 off Simon's blistering pace. Is he McBack? Kristen runs down Holland in the 2nd round. They share the lead at 10 down, setting up a 2-horse race on Sunday. Saarinen is a distant 3rd, 8 strokes off the lead. 1035 rated there for Kristen. Simon keeps a 2-shot lead in the 2nd round, but now it's over Macbeth and the young gun, Gannon Burr, who dazzled with an 11 down. And wow, 1071 rated. Dickerson rounds out the final grouping for Sunday in 4th, but 4 shots back. And you know what? Big Germ throws his hat in the ring, tying Gannon for the low round at 11 down and moves up 44 spots to get to 7th. And final round, Kristen Tatar takes charge early and cruises to another win. Holland ends up 4 back, and Henna moves up 7 spots to make a podium. Ella Hansen and Haley King finish tied 4th to round out the top 5. And on the men's side, the Simon show continued. And as Coach Yost said, and remember the Titans, leave no doubt. And Lizotte did just that. He birdied 8 of the first 9 holes and romped to an easy 5-shot wire-to-wire victory. Macbeth, look at that, was 2nd alone, and Wysocki/Dickerson shared the final spot on the podium in a tie for 3rd, while Big Germ and Antela finished tied for 5th. Woo! Lots of fun this weekend. Let's talk. We got lots to talk about. Let's unpack this course first. Is Mill Ridge a great course? Smitty?
I thought it was pretty boring, personally. There's times when I didn't know where I was at, the hole I was on, and it lost my interest pretty quick. If Simon and the other people wouldn't have been on such a heater, I think it would have been unwatchable.
I tend to agree, man. I mean, there was countless blind shots where if it wouldn't have been from some really good camera work, we wouldn't have seen anything. And still then we didn't see enough, I don't think. We got to see like a disc release and then maybe it coming in at the basket or something. So from a viewing perspective, I didn't find it very appealing. And it, yeah, short of some guys really just playing unbelievable golf, it really, I didn't find it very enjoyable either.
This is one week where the drone footage was actually quite usable on several holes from way up above. You could see how far the disc was flying and how far it's moving left to right. So,
Yep.
I mean, this was the first time I've actually enjoyed the drone footage over some of the catch cam or throw cam.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I mean, without that drone, where are we at? I mean, how much of this golf do we actually even get to see this weekend? So, there's some of them holes I do like. Overall, as a pro tour course, I mean, there was nobody out there. The place was empty. They didn't sell any tickets, and it just was, to me so far, by quite a bit, the least most interesting pro tour stop of the year.
Yeah, if I had to pick a hole as the one I would think was the hole of the course, I have to go with number 1. That was
Very cool.
really technical shot. You saw 4s and 2s on it, and there was no squeaking one through there. They had to throw the ideal shot to get a look, and you quickly forgot about it because it was so early in the round.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, let's talk about the other way. It seems like there was a lot of complaining about hole 11. I think that kind of quieted later on. But what did you boys think of that hole?
A little bit of hamburger and some French fries, it seemed like to me, for maybe some folks that the shot didn't set up that great for. And while it was not a great hole by any means, it was I feel like we see that hole fairly often on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, a hole at least fairly similar to it, where you need to carry it 415 uphill, and it just didn't seem out of the ordinary for a Disc Golf Pro Tour. It's not a great hole, but I mean, we see it all the time. It seems like we have one of those holes every week.
Yeah, and it started with the practice round. I usually try to catch a little bit of that to get a preview of the course. And Yuli and Big Germ were very vocal about their dislike for the hole before the tournament started. And Yuli went on for 5-6 minutes, it seemed like, about how crappy the hole was. And then round 1, those boys I think they went 3 for 4.
Yeah.
Lead card, round 1 birdies.
Yeah. I think Callaway, I mean, all but pin. I mean, he was 20 feet in Pro Tour standards. That's pinned. You know what I'm saying?
And then he started to realize that maybe the hole wasn't that bad. And then round 2, it was a technical hole. Became a technical hole. And man, now that is one shot I'd have liked to have been there for, to see Simon throw that son buck, because that thing was close to ringing that baby up. Looked like it went right behind it, and that was pinned 7 feet, I think.
Sick. It was a sick shot.
And then I don't know if you caught Rick's throw on that hole the final round, but he threw that thing so deep, dude. That disc was motoring.
Paul had a cool little flex shot over the top with a forehand in the last round, and then got just a dirty spit from like 65 feet. That thing went in dead center. Hit the fans were already hollering before.
Cheering.
Yeah, they didn't realize that it went and hit the pole and came right back out at him. It was. Ooh, that was one of the, other than maybe Gannon's at Texas State, that might be the worst one I've seen so far. Well, I guess Callaway last week, but that was one of the worst ones I've seen all year.
Let's go there.
Yeah, let's talk.
Do we go
about
there
it.
now? Do we go there now?
Bring it on. Let's talk about those baskets.
I know that we had Mr. Resco on the channel not that long ago, but I'm here to be the first member of the I Hate the Veterans fan club. So
I don't think you're the first and founding member. I think that club has been founded a long time ago. I remember when they first came out, Ken Climo at the must have been Worlds when it was in Emporia, literally taking person after person over and showing them how in the disc kits how the chain entrapment doesn't work correctly. And
they're all good baskets. We've talked about this numerous times, right? They're all good baskets nowadays. There isn't a bad basket out there. But man, those, when we get to see it on the Pro Tour, we get to see these 3 or 4 or 5 different kinds of targets that they're using. It seems like it's the same ones all the time where we see the really bad spits, and it's almost exclusively veterans.
More specific, the veterans with the stainless chains. The chain's just too light, I think. It's too light and too slippery.
Yeah, you can get to the pole way too easily, and you can cut through pretty easy as well. If you come with just it doesn't have to be a steep hyzer on that putt, man. If it comes in with just a little bit of hyzer, it can tip up and find its way through the back. That being said, they're going to catch 99% of the good putts that you throw. But man, them ones like that one Paul had in the final round, those are the ones that just stick in your head. Like, my God, how did that thing spit that putt? It was going slow from distance, it hit the pole and came right back out.
Yeah, it was an amazing putt, actually. So let's go to the other end of the hole. Let's go to the tee pad. This is the tour standard. This what they call it, X step, whatever, for the turf and the setup. I thought they looked great.
Yep.
I still don't like those elevated edges. That's a little scary to me. I think it was Dickerson through and then was looking off to the side and stepped off of it. That could be a bad deal, but I mean, that's got to be somewhat on him, right? For not realizing he's on an elevated tee pad, but I didn't see any slipping issues. And I don't know if the Pro Tour is taking those stop to stop, or if that's just when they say the official tee pad, if that's what they're recommending. I have heard some things about waivers for courses that already have pads and pavers and whatever, like Maple Hill has pavers. Cement will always be, I'm assuming, the go-to when available.
Yeah, and it's certainly got to continue to be an acceptable variation, right? But these seemed better than what they had at Texas State. Seemed better than what they had at Austin. They're so, I mean, I would love them from the size that they are. They're wide, they're long. But yeah, some of the ones where there's like a 2 or 3 foot drop from the edge of the tee to the ground is a little dangerous. And yeah, I remember the one you're talking about with Dickerson. I think it was on that little goofy hole that there's no that little 280 footer that a bunch of people take bogeys on. And he kind of, when he landed, he kind of had a bad look on his face. I was worried when he first did it that he might have hurt himself, but he looked like he ended up being all right. But yeah, I would get that squared away if I'm the Pro Tour. I don't want one of my star athletes, or anybody for that matter, twisting a knee because they fell off the end of a tee pad.
And I think probably the reason why they're elevating them up is it's so much easier to build it up than it is to dig it down into the ground.
Sure. Yeah.
And from a level standpoint, that's their number one goal. So if it's easier to have the front right leg up 1.5 foot, that's way easier than digging down 1.5 foot on the back left, or that might not even be acceptable at the property.
Lucas, what do you think about turf or concrete?
I'm always concrete. But I will say that I don't think I've ever I mean, minus throwing at Clap and then having that turf, which isn't the same type of turf, I don't think I've really thrown from turf tee pads. So I don't have anything to really judge it against. But I like concrete.
Yeah, I've seen bad versions of both, right? Some concrete that's either way too slick or I can't remember where I was just recently playing, and it was I think it was in Missouri, in St. Louis. They have turf tees there, and there was one of them. Man, I simply asked the group, just does this league allow you to play from the sides? Because the end of it was so worn out. I thought I was going to bite it if I went after it. So I've seen bad versions of both, but I kind of like the way they're going. At least with the size of everything, I do like the larger tees.
So I think that's a good point, though. Are those going to wear out over time? I mean, if it's a standard, I'm sure they're going to replace it. But like, if it's on another course, just in general, it doesn't seem like turf tee pads are sustainable, right?
I would agree with that. Just a general course, your standard club park course. I don't know that you would want to be doing that there. I think concrete one time every 20 years seems a lot more viable financially.
I would agree. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about maybe the biggest storyline of the tournament, which was a delay on Saturday for a threat to the event, which was a mass shooting threat right before Natalie Ryan teed off on hole 1. What'd y'all hear about this? What do you think about this? Give me your thoughts.
I was alerted to it by my co-host here, right? He basically sent me a screenshot saying that they were delayed, and we were trying to figure out what the heck was going on. And then obviously the rumors started flying about maybe what caused it. And I hate to find myself in a political type of conversation here, but regardless of how you feel politically about Natalie Ryan or the Pro Tour stance that she is able to play, or some players or fan stance that she shouldn't be able to play. I mean, what does our world come to that we're threatening lives and our athletes out there, our fans and our athletes' lives, because we don't agree with the political stance that someone has taken? I mean, that's the kind of stuff that happens. I mean, frankly, in third world countries, not at a disc golf pro tour event in the United States.
Yep,
I'm with you 100%. I think it does show the sad state of our society, really, that we don't get our way, so we call in a threat. Or, I mean, we don't know if the person who called that in was serious or if they're just trying to get their point across. So I think the Pro Tour handled it exactly how they should have.
Absolutely.
And I've seen a couple of videos or Instagram reels where they actually had uniformed officers on the card with them. So
I saw Big Jim Oates out there with the ladies. I don't think anybody's going to mess with him too much. So he was probably well positioned marshal for that group. We'll call it that way.
Yeah, what a sad, stupid thing.
It was crazy, man. I honestly couldn't believe it at first. When it first happened, didn't know what it was, right? We didn't know what the event was. I mean, your mind starts to wander, of course, and you start to make assumptions. And then when some of the detail or alleged details started coming out, I mean, I guess there's nothing really official that has been released by the Pro Tour or Nashville Police, but it's just, it's one of those things. It's unfortunate, and maybe that's what caused some of the folks to stay home on Sunday, man. Maybe that people had tickets to that event on Sunday and said, "To hell with all this." I'm not gonna go put my life in jeopardy over some idiot calling in threats to people. I mean, it's simply crazy.
Yeah, too much, absolutely too much. Well, let's kind of really flip the switch here and go the opposite way and talk about maybe some good things here. And that was Zach Melton on the ground. What'd you boys think of Melton?
He's not Brian Earhart. Brian Earhart's my favorite on the ground. I like Earhart better on the ground than I like him in the booth.
Really?
But I thought Zach did a pretty good job. I think he's got a different personality than the other two dudes we have. Like Earhart is 100% professional, gets to the point, brings up good ideas and what's going on at the course. And then we have Nate Perkins, who tries, I think, to be professional, but sometimes gets a little long-winded for me.
He gets really naturey.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
He's got better though. I think Perkins has got better.
no, yeah, he's getting better for sure. And I think Zach's I think he just wants to have fun. Is his goal to be out there, and
I think that's cool, though.
maybe that's okay as well.
Yeah, he seems I don't know how much professional golf you guys watch, but he seems a little more the David Faraday type, where the players out there all really like Zach Melton, so they're going to be more willing to talk to him maybe a little bit more than some others, and maybe he's going to be able to get a little more of that the vibe perspective rather than maybe so much golf, where Earhart is quite well, you said it right, quite the professional out there. I mean, he's talking golf, he's talking course, he's really giving you some pretty good insight while being an on-course commentator, which is pretty rare even from the network professionals. So I do like him in the booth though. I actually like that team, to be honest with you. I think Eisengood is pretty good as a play-by-play guy. I think Earhart's really good as a color guy. I think if you could mix those three guys and toss in Nate Sexton for me as a second color commentator, along with Juliana for the ladies, I think you got a recipe to really do some good things.
You can give me Nate Sexton any day. That's by far my favorite commentator. That guy is so quick-witted.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's talk ladies' side. Tatar, remarkable. She's good. But at this point, fellas, and Ronnie, I'm going to pose this question to you. At this point, is everyone else just everyone else? How interesting is it if Tatar dominates the sport?
There are times when it feels that way, where it's a little bit just like she's out there and everybody else is playing for second. But I mean, not to say that there's not really good ladies out there. Holland Handley played really good most of the weekend. She just, unfortunately, like pretty much all of her contemporaries, they don't have a gear that Kristen has. And when she hits that gear, she doesn't have to play her A game to win. Everybody else has to play perfect to beat her.
I don't think that's really how it played out this final round this week, though. Holland jumped right out and took the lead from Kristen early. Kristen, of course, fought back and got the lead and extended it. But then, what was it, hole 14, bogey birdie, and he got to within 2 strokes?
No, it never. I don't think it ever got within. Did it ever get closer than 3? Did it get? But okay, I'll ask you this: it did get to 2. You're right.
2 with 3 to go.
But did you ever feel like there was any time that anyone was going to win other than Kristen?
I didn't, but I mean, maybe it's a different story if Holland doesn't struggle on that hole and throws a good shot. It to me, I mean, yeah, it went from like 4 to 2 with a few holes to go, but it felt like the easiest. I mean, it felt like there was, once Kristen stuck her nose in front early on that front 9, it was over, dude. Yeah,
it's tail lights is all you get to see. Once she's in front, she's the sports car, and you ain't catching up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I was for sure she was going to win, but Holland did make it interesting. But once again, it's, as it so often seems to be, it's Kristen and one other,
mm-hmm.
and then way back, a battle for third.
Yeah, I mean, it's back too.
The field. I mean, I do think women's disc golf is a lot better than it was 10 years ago. I think it's more competitive than it was 10 years ago. The field's a little bit deeper, but we're getting to it. We're getting to a point where it's not gonna be like the men where we have 8 or 9, 10 people within a couple strokes coming down the back nine on a pro tour event. That ain't gonna happen on the ladies' side. It doesn't seem like, at least.
Yeah, I mean, there was some big guns missing from this week. I don't see a Paige Pierce, who I still consider a threat once she gets healthy. Missy Gannon, not there. So there's a couple of the names that we see at the top.
No Own this week either, right? Own wasn't in the field. I get it. I get it, but I mean, Henna was 13 shots behind in third place or something like that. That's a lapped third place.
Well, and she had 4 on fourth place.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I just, unfortunately for me, it sucks that it's that way, but she does make women's disc golf a little more boring, it seems like, come Sunday, because she's going to be winning more often than she's not.
Well, I think she's out after. Is she playing? Yeah, she's playing the major, and then she's going home, I think. So.
Oh, she's not at DDO? Or sorry, Dynamic Disc Open?
Give me 10.
I think she's headed across the pond for a couple 3 months. I think till after her European Open. She's going home for a little bit.
And I don't know that that's a good thing for women's disc golf either. I mean, we'll get different winners, but when somebody else wins when she's gone, they're going to say, "Well, Kristen wasn't there."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyhow, that's enough chick talk for me.
All right. Well, let's talk on the men's side then. So Simon dominates. I love Simon. Couple different stats that I heard. I know they talked about this a little bit in the coverage, but he's only played that event 3 times. He's won that event now 3 times. And he went 28 for 29 from C1X for the weekend. Pretty incredible. Smitty, tell me about Simon's performance.
That dude, man, it was absolutely amazing. Even his bad putts were going in. And the thing I love about Simon is when one of those bad putts goes in, he just shakes his head and looks at the crowd. And when he does something stupid, he just, like last week when he threw that 500-foot tall, 70-foot long shot, he just laughed it off and went on about it. I mean, like, he's like the dude you'd go out and play with at your local course. I don't think very many of the other guys are going to be that guy. So I love him. I love rooting for him. I love when he's on. I think it's good for disc golf. I love when he runs around the circle high-fiving everybody.
To me, the most impressive thing about him, even more so than the fact that he might be the most talented player we've ever seen, but his humility, his ability to be incredibly humble, it almost even outweighs his disc golf ability, which is immense. Obviously, he's won like something like 9 times in the last 3 years or something like that. So he's everything we would want in a superstar, and it's he's impressive to watch. He's impressive to listen to, and anyone who's not a fan of Simon has got a problem with himself.
Show me one person that doesn't like that guy.
Yeah.
Right.
I've never heard a person say, "I can't stand that guy."
Yeah, I think he's the most interesting person in our sport too, right? I mean, he's multi-talented. He's more than willing to talk about things other than disc golf. And then you couple that with, how he got ultra famous by his trick shots on his YouTube channel. I mean, he's just the most interesting man in disc golf, it seems.
He's so cool. He's just easily the most likable guy. Like he's just so easy to root for. And if someone doesn't like him, please let me know in the comments so I can beat you up.
Berate them.
Did I ever tell you guys I was in a biker gang once?
What was that?
Is that real?
It's real. A bike gang. Back when I was in 7th grade. Me and the neighborhood kids, all 4 of us, we had these shirts with little skulls with fire on them. We called ourselves Spear No Evil. And our big thing was we would ride our bikes down to the Harley Davidson shop and buy a mellow yellow.
Dang it. That's hilarious.
Fear no
Was
evil,
this-
baby.
Was this in the dangerous town of Salina, Kansas?
North Carolina, born and bred.
Dang it. That one made me tear up. All right, Smitty, you called this one. But McBeast shows he can still play. Do we still think there's no chance for him at Worlds, Ronnie?
I'm pretty sure I said last week that this guy wasn't counting out Paul Macbeth.
It was the other way around.
I'm pretty sure that you said that wasn't going to happen. And,
For me, for sure. I still think it's small, and as you said, it's still a chance.
I think it's a lot. I think it's bigger now.
Yep.
He looked the part, and he still doesn't have the backhand much. But that's probably coming a little bit better. And I don't think he needs a lot this week. I mean, is he a no threat at the Champions Cup? Because I'm not going to say he's no threat.
He didn't play that great at times either at Music City. He had a couple of real bad tee shots, and he missed some putts that, normal. When beast mode's engaged, he drills them. But gosh dang it, man. I'm glad the dude played well, because disc golf is better when Paul Macbeth is relevant.
100%.
Yeah, it was awesome to see. It was awesome to see. What's even cooler to see is there were some veteran dudes up in the top 5. You had Simon, Macbeth, Wysocki, Dickerson, and Big Germ. And then behind them, you had the kids, right? You had Antela, Barella, Silas Schultz, Ty Love, Gannon Burr. That's fun to see.
Yeah, it's weird that we're at a point where we're calling Ricky, Paul, Simon, and Germ old guys. Now Germ is starting to catch he's starting to get up there a little bit, but it's weird that Simon, Paul, and Ricky are old guys now. That's how the time passes.
Yeah, they've been playing disc golf for a while, but they're not old by any means.
Yeah.
What's Simon, 30? 32 maybe?
Probably 32, 33, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
So they're all what a time to watch disc golf, man.
Yeah.
We are lucky.
Yeah, golden age for sure.
Well, another cool statistic is Gannon and AB are still yet to finish outside of the top 10. They are staying consistent every single tournament. It does not matter what course, what city, what weather, what conditions, they're making it happen. Smitty, what can you say about those two?
They're really, 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 really good at disc golf. They're both having incredible seasons. I mean, at one point, I sent Ronnie a message and I said, "Look who's in 4th." And I was talking about AB, and he came out of nowhere. Now, granted, he was 5 or 6 holes ahead of him, but to get back in the mix from where he was at was incredible. So once again, there's another thing he can build on this incredible season. Never out of it.
Yeah. And I mean, both those kids each had a round where they shot like maybe 1 under par and still finished like tied 7th. So they just have, again, we're talking about having that gear. They each have that gear that if they can get into it, they're that sports car that's hard to keep up with. And if they do it all, all 3 rounds, maybe they're right there with Simon, even as great as Simon played. I mean, I think 30 under was pretty incredible. Yeah. And a slow back 9 on Sunday. He didn't need it, right? He was playing how he needed to win, but AB's never out of it seems now, which is weird to it's a weird turn of events.
Which one of those dudes is scarier? They're different scary, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like
You're asking the wrong guy.
AB, no, he understands what I'm saying. AB is just scary from the tee pad and now a little bit on the green. And Gannon is scary with the putter in his hand and from the tee pad. Whew.
Yeah. Think how the rest of the tour must feel. You got these two kids that are barely 40 years old between them that are just out there, whacking it every week.
Shredding.
Just absolute shredding every week. Even when they're not shredding, they're still kind of shredding. It's strange, but I agree with you. Yeah, they're to me the two scariest guys out there right now. And they do it a little bit in different ways. They're scary for different reasons.
Mm-hmm. This week will be a good test. This week will test their mental ability to take some bad breaks because everybody's going to have terrible breaks and end up in spots you don't want to be and move forward. So this is going to be a fun one.
Yep.
I'm excited. Well, one more thing I want to mention that I think needs mentioned is old Tall Paul. Paul Oman got quite a bit of airtime. He had a great week. Didn't finish too hot on Sunday, but he did finish top 28. Want to give him a shout out. Anything you want to mention about him, Ronnie?
No, I'm hoping I get it. I saw Paul's signed up for Masters World Championships here in a couple months. I'd love to get a chance to get a round or two in with him. So I've never played with Paul, but he's got a unique style that is, he's the only guy that does it like him out there. And he's been doing it for a long time. That guy is still, we saw this weekend how good that guy really still is. And I'd love to get an opportunity, chance to play with him. He's from everything I've ever heard, he's a pretty cool guy.
His putting was awesome. His drive is unique, but his putting was definitely something repeatable and amazing. I wonder how he developed that slow wind up for his drive. Maybe
he's so long because he's so long. Maybe he just, not all them tall guys can get out there and just flail it like Anthony or Gannon. Maybe I always assumed that was probably why.
I'm assuming it's also because he probably developed most of his game in a time before YouTube.
That's also fair.
So, just go out to the park and figure out how your body works for you and what your best results are. So
that's fair.
Yeah, it's good. It was fun. I was rooting for him. He seems like super down to earth and what was it? Somebody in the crowd yelled, "We love you, Paul," when he was playing on the lead card, and he looked at him and said, "Which one?" So
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was good to see.
Seems like a cool cat.
Yeah, for sure.
Even though maybe not the most entertaining tournament of the year, these players still make things still interesting to watch. Let's move into our next segment, which is going to be Top 5.
Shall we say bottom 5?
We could. So this week, we are going to talk about the top 5 disappointing players of 2024 so far. Before the episode, Ronnie sent me his picks and what he thought Smitty would choose. Smitty sent me his picks and what he thought Ronnie would choose. In order to get points, they have to at least match up one of them, doesn't matter what place. But if they get a direct hit on the name and the position, they get 2 points instead of 1. So we're going to jump into this. And who would like to begin?
I smoked him last week. Yeah. I smoked his butt.
I believe Smitty's up.
And since you sent me his picks again, I'll go first. All right. My number 5, Adam Hammes. Haven't heard, haven't seen. anything about him. This dude he won Pro Tour event last year, and he was in the mix multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's not playing terrible by any means, but he hasn't been a threat as far as I know.
Yeah, I think he's, somewhere around mid-teens in tour points, but where has he been as far as actually contending? He's got some backdoor top 20s and stuff like that. I think is kind of why he's up there that high. I had one guy similar to him that didn't make my top 5, but kind of the same way, Aaron Gossage. Where's that guy been outside of that third place the first week after a guy that's really been in the mix a lot the last couple of years, but did not make my list. I will give you my number 5 though. My number 5 is Nico Castro. That guy has been a tour staple for a long time. Maybe didn't have the best year last year. And it's not that you would expect him to maybe be at the top. It's how he's been. Right? He's only got one time in the top 30, and he's only got twice in the top 50 all year. A lot of finishes in the mid 80s, and he's 66th, I think, in points. So not what you would expect to see out of one of the best players of the last 15 years.
I looked at his name and I thought, no way Ronnie will ever pick him. I'm not going to pick him. Let's just call it as it is. Blame it on the plastic.
That's something I really didn't even consider, but it's not too dissimilar to what we've seen by folks who have went to that manufacturer. So I will just leave it at that. My number 4, I have a guy that I expected to be really playing well this year. One of my favorite players. I knew you would get this one for me, but where has James Proctor been? The proctologist has been nowhere to be found outside of one event. And it's disappointing because, I really like watching that guy play disc golf, but he's got one top 15, a couple events right around the top 25, and he was, non-existent, didn't make the money at Music City.
Now your list has me intrigued because I had the big boy at number 1, your biggest disappointment. So, and I had Goose on your list.
The only reason I didn't pick Goose is he's still sitting like 14th in points, so he's still got a really good chance to make the tour finals.
He had a good event.
But he's had one really good finish, right? He finished 3rd to start the year, and since then he's not been terrible, but not what we've come to expect.
Not what we wanted. Not from a guy that nearly won a world title.
Yep.
All right. Garrett Gurthie, my number 4. Another guy that we've seen pop off at events every year, and we haven't seen him this year. I haven't even heard his name on coverage. And in fact, I looked and he's played all the events. So that's a shocker to me. Maybe when we get to the West Coast swing on some more wide open courses, he'll compete. But, Garrett's always been a thrower of the disc, never great around the green. And I don't think you can live that way now.
I think you're right. I think anymore, if and he doesn't really go both spins either. He's fantastic throwing the disc left to right for sure, but he doesn't have that second spin to always be hyzery. He can do it a little bit, but he doesn't lean on it. And like we've said, you have to be the best of the best of the best at whatever your premier discipline is to be able to compete like that the way the tour is now. And where's Double G been? Maybe he's just selling a lot of beef jerky. Who knows?
Yeah, probably is. He started that at a bowling alley. My number 3 on my list. Fairway Jesus, James Conrad. Did you nail it?
I think that might be a direct hit.
That's a direct hit.
You sank my battleship. This dude, world champion, USDGC champion, He has been on coverage a little bit, but not a threat to win.
Yeah, he's had a couple of good rounds. He's throwing a good round every now and then. But yeah, dude, the fairway Jesus has, been MIA for the most part. And it's too bad because that's another guy where disc golf's a lot better when he's relevant. Just, one of the coolest people out there. And he's been out, unfortunately. My number three is a guy that is 99th place in tour points right now. Has won some Pro Tour events. Drew Gibson. Drew is, when you say nowhere to be found, I'm going to give you Drew Gibson's finishes for this year so far. Chess.com did not play, but then 83rd, 52nd, 67th, 61st, and 50th. In 5 starts, he has 5.42 tour points. You get 1 for completing the event.
Yeah.
Simply bad. It's not even not a factor. Bad.
I had him on my honorable mention. I didn't peg him for you, and I couldn't put him in because he was injured last year with pretty significant nerve issues. So, I love watching that dude drop bombs.
Which is why
the prettiest form you've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just comes out so fast, so far. But yeah, you're right. We haven't.
Well, like you said, that's kind of why he was on my disappointment. I thought he was healthy. I was expecting us to get the good version of Drew Gibson back, and like I said, not only is it not a factor, he's just been downright not good. Who's your number 2, Smitty?
My turn.
I think it is, or is it? Oh no, it's my 2. It's my 2.
Yeah.
Sorry. My number 2, a guy we haven't seen in a couple weeks, but a guy that was really, really bad, and even people on this show might have considered him a sleeper for the season. Dude, Brody Smith has been terrible. And maybe had something to do with an injury or whatever, but the bigger question is, from a disappointing, when are we going to see Brody again? Will we see Brody again?
This week.
We'll see.
He'll be there.
We'll see.
I didn't pick him. I didn't put him on my list. I didn't put him on your list either. My second biggest disappointment, James Proctor. Like you stated before, the guy's phenomenal. We're both fans of him.
Mm-hmm.
He had a really good season last year and was in the mix at some tournaments. And he's another one. We haven't seen him.
Yeah.
My number 1. Did you get it?
I'm going to guess we probably have the same number 1.
KJ USA?
We do not, actually.
I think that guy potential is as good as anybody in the world. And he's throws a mile, he flicks a mile, he putts great. I always thought he just had bad luck keeping him from winning big tournaments, and we haven't seen him.
Yeah, he was one of them guys that's kind of he hit his peak during kind of the wrong time. Paul was still great. Ricky was still Ricky. The last time he was really in the mix in a major, I guess, would have been when James won in Utah. But yeah, I had KJ right outside there too. He was one guy I was thinking of. But we kind of saw this happen a little bit last year where KJ wasn't what we'd come to expect of a guy that lived in the top 10 forever. And then this, unfortunately, the disappointing part of that, I can agree with you, is that trend has continued. And now it's been accentuated where he's really just not a factor most weeks, which is hard to believe from a guy that's as good as he is.
Mhm.
My number one, I've got the world champion. That guy is. I mean, there was a time from about July on last year where you didn't think the guy was ever going to lose. You didn't think he was going to miss a putt. He just looked like the second coming of Paul Macbeth for 5 months, and then all of a sudden, he's not. I mean, he's not playing terrible, but he's not the guy that's dominating disc golf like he was at the end of last year.
I had him on there for you. I had him as your number 5.
Yep. So you know what that means, boys?
Tie.
That means a tie. So Smitty got 2, and then Ronnie got the direct hit to also get 2.
Okay.
So the only one I got was James Conrad of his list.
Yes.
Wow.
So for you, Smitty, he said going 5-1. He said Parker Welk, Corey Ellis, James Conrad, Isaac Robinson, and Brody.
Good picks.
Yep. And then for you, Ronnie, Smitty said Isaac Robinson, Goose, KJ USA, James Conrad, and James Proctor.
I'll give Smitty credit. The three guys that barely missed my list were James Conrad, Kevin Jones, and Eric Gossage. Those were those three, and the last couple on my list were kind of what I was trying to narrow it down to, and so
it wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be to pick.
There's been a lot of guys. A lot of guys have kind of not performed up to expectations.
I got one more on my honorable mention that saved himself this week. Paul Macbeth would have been my number 1. He didn't shred this weekend.
Man, I hope he gets fully healthy because the dude can still really putt it, man. And and like you said, disc golf's just better when Paul's good.
And Rick.
And Rick. Yeah, for sure.
All right, boys. That was fun. Great work on the top 5. Let's move into our next segment. Dun, 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 dun. Wheel of Debate.
If I get skunked this week, this segment's gone.
Let us take a look at the Wheel of Debate. And for the Wheel of Debate, we have several different topics that we will spin for right now. Whatever it lands on, these boys will debate on the spot. Since Ronnie destroyed last week, as Smitty quit during his debate, we will have Ronnie also spin for a pro side of the conversation or the con side of the debate. So let's see which we're going to roll into today.
I will say, I think there's a huge advantage to going first as well.
Ooh, okay. So live is the only way to view. All right.
Oh, I could make it really hard on him again if we could get a little 50-50 luck right here.
All right, here we go. So pro side is, yep, live is the only way to view. Con side is like, no. We don't want live. Or we don't want just live. And Ronnie's going to have live. It's the only way to view. There we go. Let's get a timer up. We got it up. And Ronnie, you're going to start us off. 60 seconds on the clock. Are you prepared?
As good as I'm going to get.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, hit it.
I think where we sit in 2024, the only way to watch disc golf, in my opinion, is live. I appreciate everything that we had for the post-produced coverage that got us through the last 10 years on YouTube, and some of the videotapes that we had way back in the day before most of our audience was even introduced to disc golf. But these days, I find myself sitting there if I can't even be behind, right? I got to catch up to live. I might even miss a shot or two just to catch back up to live because I got to see it while it's happening. I could drive a car to go on vacation But I'm probably just going to jump on a plane because that's the better way to do it, right? I'm gonna get a better experience, and I think that's what live disc golf is. Thank you, Disc Golf Pro Tour. Thank you, Disc Golf Network. Live's the only way to go.
All right. All right. I like it. I like it. All right, Smitty, you get to have the other side of this debate. You got 60 seconds on the clock. Are you ready?
Ready?
All right. 3, 2, 1, hit it.
I'll give my guy Ronnie his flowers. Live is pretty good. Okay? As long as you're listening to it with mute, because we know most of the commentators are pretty terrible and ruin any opportunity to enjoy the coverage. Couple that with the fact that I have better things to do on a Saturday or a Sunday than to sit in my house on a beautiful afternoon and watch a bunch of dudes walk around the disc golf course and play disc golf. I want that to be me. I can catch everything I need to see by watching my boys Big Sexy Barry or Big Barry commentary on Joe Mez, and with the new added features of catching the hole teasers from the other cards, I can catch almost all the action that you're catching in live, and I don't have to see any of the shank putts, people crying about spit outs, or drives hitting spotters in the ankle and keeping them OB on hole 18. Shout out, Rick.
All right. That was good. That was
Did you guys
very,
know
very
that?
good.
Did you know Rick hit a spotter on 18, stayed out of bounds?
I
No.
didn't know that.
I forgot to bring that up earlier. You just went down, sucker. Hope it hurts.
I don't know about all that. I will say that I do only find myself watching live disc golf these days. But there is what you said has a lot of validity, right? We have to suffer through sometimes not great commentary. There are times I'd rather be out playing disc golf, but I've also been conditioned now by the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Hey man, I'm going to be available on my weekends from 3 to 6 p.m. because I'm enough of a disc head that I got to see it happen live, right? It's the same reason I'm not going to go watch a replay of the NFL game on Tuesday, right? I want to see it happen when it's happening because I want to be in the moment. I want to be able to fire off texts and say, "Oh my God, did you just see that?" Right? So yeah. I love it that way. I know you do watch a lot of post-produced disc golf too.
I'm a bigger disc head than you because I watch all the live and then I watch all the post as well, along with the disc golf world. I consume so much disc golf content. I could probably get rid of my YouTube TV and just live off of regular YouTube during the disc golf season. But I'm with you. I like to be in the moment. I like to feel the excitement. I like to, wonder what's going to happen. At this day and age, it's impossible to not figure out or not hear. There's no spoilers in live sports.
No, absolutely.
Right? And I accept that. I'm not going to get pissed if somebody says, "Can you believe that Simon shot that and won?" Really? Thanks. Cool. I'm going to go watch it. But I do think that the post-production has come a long ways. It is really good. And it's nice to be able to watch the entire round in about just over an hour. Yeah. And, I haven't watched all of the Joe Mez for this, but I've watched hole 11 all 3 rounds just because I want to see how their opinion of the hole changed throughout.
Mm-hmm. So, now, and like I said, especially with Joe Mez in particular, you have really good commentary and a team doing it that we've become accustomed to being good for an extended period of time. And there's a lot of people that will only watch it that way. Right. So I think this one's really more of a preference. I'm really, all I watch is sports. If I'm not watching, stand-up comedy on Netflix or something, I'm watching live sports. And I love that our sport has got to a point in its progression where it's a live sport that I can't miss live. So
Yeah.
Yep.
This weekend will be a tough one for me because I want to consume every second of this major. I want to see every shot I can see. Thursday, I have to work and then go to a track meet. So I won't be watching. I can watch it on the bus, but I can't watch it at the track meet. I'll probably have it in my pocket listening. Friday, I'm not working, but I'm going to Manhattan to run a disc golf tournament, and I'll be staying in a cabin. Probably won't have great internet service. Saturday, I'll be running the tournament all day, staying the night in the cabin again, which is going to be fun. And then Sunday, I'm going to visit my favorite course in Kansas and get a practice round in.
Oh, you going to Kansas?
Yeah.
Chance a few times. I'm
playing it Friday and Sunday, just to let you know.
I'm going to get a chance to watch a lot. So the only thing I really got going on this weekend that's going to pull me away from doing it was I got to break this brand new sexy shirt out.
Hey,
because I got a disc golf tournament to play on Saturday. But other than that, I'm gonna consume a lot of Northwoods Black, which who doesn't want to see that 4 rounds on that sucker? Boy, that's that could be interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I think
that's going to be interesting. That's going to be interesting.
That's probably the best segue we could have to get into our next segment, which is weekly picks. Before we jump into the amazingness of Champions Cup, let's first talk about our picks for the Music City Open. As a reminder, the 3S on picks means that we chose a stink, we chose a sleeper, and we chose a shine. Thank you, Smitty. So we will see how we fared at the Music City Open, and then we will make our picks for Champions Cup.
3 greens for me this week. 3 greens.
Let's see what we got.
I got good picks for Champions Cup.
Oh, I thought you meant Music City Open.
All right, so here is our stinks. Ronnie had Kyle Klein. Me and Smitty both had Matty O. And let's see how we did.
Wait.
Yeah.
My guy stunk so bad, he bailed after the first round. How do I not win this? And there's no debate.
I don't know if that's really why he left. Honestly, I looked, and him and Cynthia both DNF. So I don't know if something happened. So, but I mean, yeah, it is shocking that he didn't finish the event, but it's also extremely shocking that Matty O got 81st place.
Yeah.
So without knowing the full scope of what Kyle did, maybe he was trying to preserve his rating.
Oh.
I don't know. But yeah, I couldn't. We all 3 got greens.
And he was bad the first round. He was in like the 70s or so.
Kyle was.
Yeah, the round that he did play. So, but those are 2 guys that you never expect to be anything outside of feature coverage.
Yeah.
You know, one of the feature cards. So, yeah, good on all of us, I guess, to go out on those limbs and not look like idiots, because we kind of thought that might happen.
Yeah. We were expecting not the greatest there, but let's look at our sleepers. So we had James Conrad for Ronnie, Paul McBeast, Beast Mode for Smitty, and then for Eagle, I had him. I don't know if you guys got to hear how his recovery's been, but it was just sad to hear that he wasn't going to play. So we knew that Eagle didn't play, so he didn't start. Paul McBeth, 2nd place. What a pick by Smitty. And then Ronnie, 66th for James Conrad as a sleeper. Pretty weak to get the yellow, but you can thank me for that by picking Eagle.
I appreciate that. I mean, Smitty, yeah, good work on picking Paul, but he picks Paul every week as he's sleeper. So I mean, at some point, he's going to be right.
Them both
Not
ways.
this week, baby.
He's going to be right some days.
I think he did have Macbeth as a stink as well once.
I'd have.
It's like me saying I'm going to ace every hole. Eventually, I'm going to be right someday. You know,
get in the hole. But apparently, Eagle has proclaimed he's throwing 600-foot bombs with his new disc with no issues and flicking. So it is unfortunate that he hurt his back getting in the get something out of his car.
Yeah, the silliest thing, and he hurt himself. But
it's kind of been a calamity of errors like that for him in his whole career, right? So he hurt his hand punching the ground. This isn't the first time that he's kind of had one of these freak injuries.
Right. Well, this one's freakier. The other one was just stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But who hasn't punched the ground?
The ground doesn't give much.
All right, let's look at our shine. Ronnie had Chris Dickerson. Smitty had Vinny. And I had Isaac. Gosh darn it. What a great week for me. Ronnie, great pick. For some reason, you got a gray check mark.
You get a green. Okay. My bad, buddy. My bad. We tied.
Okay. So Ronnie, great pick there in Dickerson. Vinny got 34th, and then Isaac Robinson was terrible. 71st. Unexpected.
We'll hear a little more out of Isaac here in just a couple minutes, but yep. I heard an amazing stat for Dickerson yesterday. He had played in I hope I got the numbers right. Maybe I didn't, but it's very close. I think he's played in 101 events in the state of Tennessee, and he's finished in the top 10 100 times.
Oh, that's a great one.
The guy is quietly good, man.
Yes.
I mean, he's been in the mix, and he just slightly been out of it. And I tell you, I saw Calvin on another podcast as soon as we made our picks, and he said he was thinking about not playing because there were so many left to right holes.
Oh, really?
So I wanted so bad to drop him and pick somebody different, but I was afraid I was going to take the DNS.
Oh man, yeah, I was there for both you guys, both your yellows. I was there for you. Bringing up the rear this week, which is kind of where I live. But I did have a few good weeks. But man, I was feeling good about Eagle. I'm kind of sad about that one, and I'm very shocked about Isaac. I think
one disappointment.
Ronnie was as well. Let's take a look at Champions Cup. Let's look to the future and give some picks there. I usually start every week. Why don't we let one of you two start this week? Who would like to go first?
I'll lead this thing out.
Okay.
I'm going to lead this thing out, and I'm going to go stink right out of the gate.
Okay.
This guy has not finished outside of the top 15, outside of the top 10 all season. But I saw some things I didn't like last week in the final round. I am taking Gannon Burr.
Ronnie. Oh, that is bold. Oh, I think you're giving me a chance to not be at the bottom. So thank you.
Doubtful.
If you do get this one though, that's a big pull. When you shoot for those type of things, just like we did last week with Matty O and Kyle Klein, and we hit. Ooh, it feels good. But that's going to be a tough one.
If my guy finishes outside of the top 10, it will be a stink. And my guy is not Gannon Burr. One Anthony Barella.
Wow. Did you guys plan this?
No.
Wow,
not.
that's crazy. The two gentlemen who have not finished outside the top 10, you both have them to stink. Wow. Well, I did not go so bold. I went with someone who has been showing some flashes of greatness this year, but we're going to go a stink of Ezra Aderhold.
That's a good pick too.
I think all three of those are pretty good, right? Those are all three guys who I don't think any of us would say are the straightest players on tour. Mm-hmm. We know how much you're going to need that this week. So a lot of those guys like to go big and throw kind of these maybe lines that are kind of cheat code lines that other people can't take. And this week they're going to have to be, fairway gods to have a chance to compete. So I think those are actually all three are kind of out on a limb a little bit. Aderhold's had a heck of a year. So
Yeah.
He was 28th last week. I just looked. I didn't know where he finished, but
yep. So he's
been won 2 weeks before.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
All right, Smitty, you want to go for the next one?
Sure. I will go with my shine.
Okay.
This dude, both spins, scramble, king. One of my favorite to root for. Let's go, Rick!
Yeah, I knew you were
You said scramble. We all do.
Yeah. That's great. I mean, Rick's definitely on the short list of people you can see winning this golf tournament this weekend for sure. Add another major to his list. Lucas, who you got? Who's your shine?
So my shine, and this is a stretch because this guy to win it is going to be, he's going to have to play perfect, but he plays well at Northwoods, and he's done that last couple of years. I'm going to go a shine of Casey White. Oh man, I'm thinking we're gonna get to see him on some lead card.
If Casey White wins, I will take you to Texas Roadhouse.
Oh, this never happens.
If Casey White wins, we gotta have Casey White on the pod next week because Casey White's mom ain't picking Casey White this week, buddy.
If Casey White wins, he'll be too busy to be on this pod. He'll be on every other pod.
But that being said, that's a lot of the kind of courses that's a lot like the courses that Casey White kind of came up on in the Northeast. So I actually don't think it's a terrible pick. I might have saved it for my sleeper.
Yeah, but, I went.
But it's
I think you could flip flop my sleeper and shine probably. Casey White's my guy this week. I'm gonna roll with him. Ronnie, who you got?
So I'm not gonna quite go that deep into the well just yet. I don't hate that pick though. I don't necessarily.
I do.
I'm gonna go with the guy that's been there kind of all year long. He's had like a couple of events after he won. Those two events were maybe not really like him, but a guy that can play it super straight, can throw it as far as he needs to, a guy that putts really well, and a guy who's already won this year. Give me Nicholas Anselo.
Yeah, it's a good pick.
That is a good pick. He played pretty well this weekend also.
Yeah.
Last round.
You're going to go sleeper, buddy. You got it.
All right, I'm going to go sleeper.
We are looking forward to it.
I mean, if Casey White's his shine, his sleeper must be like, I don't know, cupcake or something. I don't know.
Like I said, this could have been flip-flopped probably. My sleeper is someone who played extremely well last year, has not really shown out this year, but I'm going to go Cole Radalin.
Oh, God, here we go.
Lucas 2 weeks ago where he was pretty good, but no, he's officially back. After 2 reds last week and these picks, Lucas is back.
Cole was pretty good last weekend though.
He was okay.
He also won
He wasn't terrible on the black course, but he won it because of what he did at Eureka Lake.
For sure.
I will say it's not not terrible, but
it's not your worst pick.
Not for a sleeper. It's not a bad pick for a sleeper.
You just made your worst pick a little bit ago.
Yeah, the shine was definitely the
that's only his worst pick of this week. Maybe who's your sleeper?
I went with a player who has world champion bloodlines, a Robinson, not Isaac, Ezra Robinson.
I don't hate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another guy that can kind of check all those boxes that you want on this golf course.
He shredded last year.
And it's such a weird one, right? This is we've never seen 4 rounds there. So you really who can avoid the big number for a whole week? That's kind of tough.
I'm sure.
I'm taking a guy who played pretty well there too. A guy that has played pretty well on multiple woods courses, including a win, albeit silver series, on a woods course. Not quite as tight as the black course, but Harmony Bends is also pretty tight.
Oh.
I'm going to go with Alden Harris. He's kind of been slow this year. I think Northwoods might be the place where he can maybe not win. Maybe he doesn't win, although I wouldn't put it past him. But I think a top 10 is in the cards for Alden this week.
Okay, I like it. He's a good one to root for sure. All right. Well, there are our weekly picks, but we're going to move over to our Survivor League. So last week we had a few picks. We are only down to 2, Ronnie and Patsy. And just to remind everyone at home, Ronnie had Isaac Robinson. Patsy had Chris Dickerson. We already know how this shakes out. Isaac Robinson, 76th. See you later, dude. And Patsy with 3rd for Chris Dickerson. And Patsy wins the first Win Dummies Survivor League. Congratulations, Patsy. She already has the money. She did awesome. Ronnie, anything you'd like to say as the runner-up?
Yeah, I wish Patsy would have took my split 3 weeks ago like I asked. But unfortunately for me, she decided to play it out and proved how good she was with that Chris Dickerson pick last week.
Lucas and I were on a chat with her all day yesterday. Talking about your boy's in trouble. You better be ready to make another pick, or he's getting one back here now. We actually invited her on. I wanted so much bad to click right there and bring her in to talk to us. And she's like, about what? How I got lucky. I think Patsy knows a little more about disc golf than she's letting on.
Yeah, I think she does too. All of her picks were pretty savvy if you go back and look at them. So
yeah. So congratulations. We are starting a new Survivor League, which we will be starting. Picks have to be in by Wednesday. So if you want in, message me. We'll get you in. I think we still need about 6 spots to fill. I'm going to be reaching out to some people after I post the podcast. So I'll give you an opportunity first to listen to this and reach out. But please join in. It was super fun last time. I'm just hoping to survive the first freaking round.
Me too.
But congratulations, Patsy. That was awesome. I'm just happy it wasn't Ronnie. No offense to Ronnie, but it is cool to see a non-win dummy get the Vic.
I like to see a win dummy in the finals, though.
That is cool.
Fun. It was fun.
One of us better be there every time.
Yeah,
I'm counting on you two.
It'd be nice to be, but that's it's so hard now. It's so hard.
It is. And Chris Dickerson was the winning one, and that's the one that also got me eliminated. That son of a gun.
That's true, yeah. Forgot about that.
I think that's the only time Chris Dickerson's missed the top 15.
And it's because of me. It's me picking him. It's kryptonite for these guys. Gentlemen, anything you'd like to say to sign off?
Yeah, I mean, I've been welcomed by the St. Louis disc golf community, man. And I'm over there every 3 or 4 weeks, and a bunch of cool guys, a bunch of cool leagues. Just give a shout out to a couple guys that have been gracious enough to let me play league with them. Rob and Josh, have a good time playing with those guys. And I know they're watching the show now. So thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it. For now, I guess I'm a transplanted St. Louis guy part-time now. So happy to be part of it.
Let's go, Rob and Josh.
They can have it. Yeah, I just want to say, not interesting, but scary thing. Kansas TD Tyson Jones getting sick and ended up in ICU. Hope he has a speedy recovery and gets things going back, to where he was. Life's weird, man. Life's weird. Make sure you tell all of your friends you love them, and tell your family you love them. Take care of yourself. So,
yeah. It's definitely scary stuff. So we're keeping you in our thoughts, Tyson. Get well, speedy recovery, my dude. Great show. We're gonna jump into the 19th hole, and the 19th hole is the best shot of the tournament. So see if you all agree. We're gonna play it for you now. And everyone, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye now.
Checking scores, realizes that he's got some cushion over Anthony Barella, so he can go for this putt without repercussions. No way! Big Germ! 3 for 3 to close out the round, and that gets him into a tie for 5th.